Good morning, dear friends. Holy Yidden. It is Tainus Esther, which means it is the 13th of Adar. Excuse me. And it is the 2nd of March. I'm not sure how we're in March already, but okay. And we're here to study the entire Talmud one page, one line at a time. We are currently dedicating our learning, in addition to all the regular dedications, for our brothers and sisters in Eretz Yisrael and across the globe, for their safety, their protection, and for the success and nitzachon of the Israeli and American and anyone else that's involved in this. I don't want to use the phrase holy war because that sounds a little, um, but this important objective of hopefully ridding the world of some very evil, hateful forces. Halavai will see the Iranian people get their freedom and independence. I think we know better than to um, not have at least some skepticism, but we're allowed to be hopeful. And wouldn't it be lovely if we could take a flight to Israel with a stopover in Tehran? That would be pretty cool. And so may Hashem, may it be Hashem's will that everything should proceed in a way that's good for the world and good for Am Yisrael. And obviously, you know that we're gonna again. This is out of my initial opening. Obviously, you know that if this thing prolongs, so that we're gonna be, we know whose fault it's gonna be. And so let's hope that we don't have to deal with that either. So we are now in an interesting moment. Besides for being Erev Purim, so tomorrow we're not going to learn, but we are in the twilight, or we are in the transition between Meseches Yoma and Sukkah. We took a look for a moment at the Mishnah, and I think we should do some more of that today. And then we can take a vote once we run through the Mishnah if we should spend any more time on Inyana de Yoma on discussions of Purim, or keep it at that. Just to note, for those that are able, today is a fast of Esther. I am coffeeless, and so I'll ask for your understanding in advance. Um, Now let me find the right page. Let me share the screen. Excuse me. Oh, all right, let's do this. We dedicate our learning to the wonderful members of our Chabura and their households for health and happiness and all manners of good news. And we dedicate our learning for friends of the Chabura, for Shalema, Kreva, for those that are in need. Don't mind the screen. We have to tinker a little bit to get to the right document. Rivka Bas Pesha, the Yotzibra Nabana Sipora, then Yotzibra Pegatova, Mordechai Mitzim Chamis over Mercedes, Velvo Ruva Meneto Mosh Meklar Mitzvah, Miriam Kappa Meleba, Avram Ben Aviva, Rachel Aslea, Chaim Yaakov Ben Chaviva. Um, Hold on, Chaim Yaakov Ben Chaviva, Luba Bas Machla, Yosef, Moshe Ben Rivka, Devorah, Malka Bas Simcha, Irina Bas Luba, Aliyah Ben Rachel Akoy, Niriya Ben Roy Miriam, Nisim Ben Rachel, Yosef Ben Flora, Gershon Chaya, Mordechai Ben Chaya, Liana Meirav Ben Miriam Yanina, Talul Basilda, Chaya Bas Rivka, Ephraim Ben Sora, and Rivka Bas Altachaya, and Vicky Bas Rachel for Shlem Kreva. Should have only good news. Okay, so I found some nice images online to help us navigate Meseches Sukkah, or particularly the first Mishnah. Let us read through the Mishnah fast. Now I'm looking at it the way it appears in the Mishnah, not in the Gemara, but from here we will pivot the Ezer Hashem to the Gemara. And all right, Sukkah shehi gevoya l'mayla mi esrim ama psula. Sorry for the run-on sentence. A sukkah that is taller, higher than 20 amos is not kosher, or I should probably use the right word, pasul, disqualified, not kosher. Rabbi Yehuda machshir. Rabbi Yehuda says it is kosher. So if kosher, the opposite of kosher would be pasul, I suppose, here in this context. When a sukkah is not at least 10 tvachim, or a sukkah that does not have 3 walls, again, we're going to look at some pictures in a moment. If the sun is more than the shade, it is not kosher. Psula. Sukkah Yishana, an old sukkah, which Rashi explained was more than 30 days, did we say? I have to go back and remember what we said. But let's see what the Bartanura says, just for argument's sake. Anyways, let's leave it open-ended now, and we'll get into the commentary, I suppose. An old sukkah, base Shammai says is possible, base Hillel is machshir. Ve'ezu sukkah shana. What is an old sukkah? Kol sha'asa kodem l'chag shleishim yom. Any sukkah that was 30 days old, if it was made with the shame the holiday, then it's kosher from the beginning of the year. Mark has a very good question. How do you build a sukkah that's not l'shem sukkah? How do you build a sukkah that's not l'shem chag? We're gonna have to discuss a lot of this in depth. We're really wetting our toes. But Mark, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, and the whole idea of a sukkah is, I mean, you're building a sukkah just because you wanted to have a shack in the backyard. You're doing it for the
So
mitzvah.
could you not build a shack that technically meets the criteria of sukkah, but it
I
wasn't
guess you
lishma?
could, but
So again,
I
I'm
think,
sure we could all envision without a picture a tall sukkah, but
yeah,
here you can visualize a
wow.
sukkah that's 20 amas tall. It towers above the other single story, or maybe
Well,
the
assuming it's figure about a foot and a half, that's like 30 feet high.
so it's not
That's
terribly high for modern standards, but it's
right, because
certainly
yeah,
high, certainly
I
higher than
mean,
you would expect for a sukkah.
that's like only three, typical buildings, it's about 10 feet of floor because it's 8 feet inside and then another 2 feet for the flooring and all,
Yeah.
approximately. So that's like a three-story building. That's not big at all these days. And look at our skyscrapers here
Right.
on the beach.
Right. So Baruch Hashem, today we are spoiled. So we're going to take that into an account. We'll have to see all the different reasons why a sukkah that's
But
too
I
long.
think that, but I remember, I know I'm jumping ahead, is I think that the shades probably coming from the walls rather than the sky when it gets that high.
Yeah, yeah. There's a number of factors that we will discuss. But here, let's gaze at this beautiful picture. Okay. Other pictures will be more helpful. And then as well, 10 tvachim, and this looks like a mehuder. This looks like a chazon ish tvachim, and nonetheless, that's a low sukkah. Maybe you could sit. Most likely, you have to crouch and crawl. Um, why would you make
I
such a
thought
low sukkah?
you could sit on the ground, it wouldn't be so bad.
Why would you make a sukkah like this?
If you had to hide it.
You have to hide it. Maybe you're short on
I
materials.
remember there's a story during the Holocaust where they show there where somebody was their railing like over the wall was like 32 fucking they were able to build the sukkah so it wasn't visible.
Yeah,
Yeah, everybody did under those conditions still try to get the misses and
yeah. And then
these
lastly,
these
again, because we probably struggle to visualize this, you have a sukkah she'ein la shalish stefanim. It's only got two walls, not three walls. And so that sukkah is also not kosher. This is already the Gemara. Um, so that's the Mishnah. We probably shouldn't do this, but we could take a look. This is the Rambam's Rebbe Nachem. You're saying something?
Yeah, can you go back to the picture of the sukkah with the three funnels? So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
I see. Can you use the wall of the building as a dolphin? Well, here they have
Here they gave an
the
independent wall.
actual
You're asking,
panels.
could they mount
Here
this on
they
the?
have panels for the sukkah for the wall, but can you use the wall of the building as a dolphin?
This is a good question. Certainly it is done. The question is how to do it, and what kind of distance must not be between the wall and the schach or the structure. Does it need to be a structure? Can you just set up a frame adjacent to a wall? Would the wall have to actually be part of the structure? So those are all things that we can discuss going forward. Right now, we're really just getting the tip of the iceberg. So those are good questions. Another question: how does this schach support itself? So what if there's another post here? What if there's a frame? So there are many questions that we will discuss and hopefully emerge somewhat enlightened in the coming days, weeks, months. Hopefully by time of Sukkah, we'll be experts in Sukkahs. Or by
Rabbi,
yes, Reb
is
Baruch.
there any, is there any discussion why there's no limit to size, length?
There is discussion. I don't recall if it's in Masechah. It's been a while since I did Masechah Sukkah, so we're gonna have to see.
I
Um,
mean, the obvious idea to me is that we should have as many people in the sukkah as possible, but that's
yeah. let's look at Maimonides for a moment. His Pirush HaMishnayos, which we don't always get to explore. Ikar Etzlein. Okay, well, I'll go through this fast. Let me see if it's translated. We can even see the translation. The general rule among us, by you know what the irony of reading a translation of the Rambam's commentary Mishnayos is? What you're studying is a translation of a translation, because the Rambam wrote his work in Arabic, and it was translated into Hebrew. And so now we have a translation of a translation. So the question is the translation of a translation an improvement upon the original translation, or more opportunity for nuance to be lost in the process? All right, the general rule among us is that we require that a sukkah be a temporary dwelling. Therefore, should not be higher than 20 amis. Rabbi Yehuda states that we require a permanent dwelling, therefore permits it, even if it was of the utmost height, as we'll see in the Gemara. The measurement of its internal space is no less than 7 handbreadths long and 7 handbreadths wide. We didn't see that yet in our Mishnah. We'll see it in the Gemara. And in this Seder, we have some interesting principles. So this is actually very interesting. The Rambam is going to present us with some rules that will be helpful throughout the Masechta, and we're going to see them a number of times. So let's buckle up and slow down. All that is less than 3 handbreadths is like a lavud, a legal fiction of considering the separate parts as united, joined, and from them. A gap that is less than 3 tvachim, we say lavud. We consider as if that gap is not a gap at all, because this measurement is a place of not less than 4 handbreadths, and is stated that 2 of the walls would be complete, and the third wall, even if it had just a tefach and a little bit, okay, this English is just hard for me. I'm sorry, I'm going to bounce back to the Hebrew for a moment. I apologize. Here we go. What does it mean when the Mishnah says, I'm sorry, the English is really not a useful translation. When there aren't 3 walls, what it means is there must be 2 full walls, and the kaisel hashlishi, the third wall, even if there's only a tefach and a bit, you shall place that one next to the wall, and it'll be considered kosher. Lezu Sukkah, Gimel Tzuras Arishayna, Shiela Gimel Kisalim Gimurim, Devuka is Begag. He shows us a picture of 3 adjacent walls. That's beautiful. The second picture, there are 2 walls that touch. It's getting too complicated for this early in the Masechta. We're going to have to revisit this when we get closer to the... Suffice it to say, there are many scenarios that we need to consider about the fusion of the walls. Let's go to the Gemara now. Or should we do something else first, just for fun? Let's just take a peek very fast. Let's look at the Kaufman manuscript. Better now than later. So here we go. So here we have moved from, and this is in the Mishnayos. This is a manuscript version of the Mishnayos. We haven't yet gone to the Gemara. And so here you'll see that we go from Meseches Shkalim in the manuscript to Meseches Sukkah. Now, famously, Meseches Shkalim in Yerushalmi, I'm sorry, the Meseches Shkalim that we have that's Gemara is from the Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem Talmud. And here is the manuscript. Hold on. So I just want you to see here, just because it's interesting. If you look in Shkalim, there's a bunch of handwritten notes or edits. But in the first opening page of our Masechta here, there are not many edits. The only thing you can kind of notice is that someone added in Nekudais. You see that? Sukkah. Shigevoya mi esrim ama psula. You see all those little nekudas. It does not look to me like those nekudas were written with the same ink and by the same scribe as the person that wrote the manuscript. So at some point, somebody added, it looks like, I may be wrong, but it looks like to me, somebody added in these nekudas. You see that?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that tells us anything about the author or the owner, or maybe in general it was part of the process. I don't know. But here you can see it. Let's read it inside just for fun. Sukkah shigavoya me esrim ama psula. A sukkah that's taller than 20 amos. You see, you can read this very clearly, unlike the Gemara manuscript. But Rabbi Yehuda machshir. Rabbi Yehuda says it's kosher. V'she'ena givaya asara tvachim. V'she'en la shalish lefanais. V'she'ha. No, v'she'chamasa. Miruba mitzi lasa. That's a tzaddik. Psula. And here he notes what in the Yerushalmi, I think, is considered, a single Mishnah here. It's considered I'm sorry, in the Babli it's considered a single Mishnah. Here it's considered Mishnah Beis. Sukkah Yeshana, an old Sukkah, Beishamai Poistim. It could actually be my mistake, because I don't remember now. An old Sukkah, Beishamai Poisels, Beisilu Machshirim, Ezel Yeshana, Kol Sha'asa, Kaidem Lechag, Shleshim Yom, Masal L'Shem Chag, Afilu Mitchilas, Ashana Kesher. All right. I don't know about you, if I find it interesting to imagine 1,000 years ago, the Jew, or more than that, if a Jew wanted to study Mishnayos, this is the manuscript or the text they were engaging in. Yes.
Can you go back to the manuscript?
Yes.
And I'm really short of water because to show how it showed in my infection.
What do you see?
So I saw, where was it? Keilu. There was no aleph, and whoever put in I don't see it here, but
Well, let me
whoever
see.
put in the nekudot. Go up. It was Gimel. Keep.
Which letter was it?
It was the word Keilu, but there was no aleph, and whoever put in the nekudot added, in order to be able to read it Keilu, added a chirik here.
Here it is. Here it is.
Do you see in Keilu?
Yeah. Like
here.
one,
You see, he put in a chirik.
Interesting.
He put in a chirik to be able to read it as a Keilu.
That is very interesting. I would not have noticed that. And now I wonder if this was a common literary chachma or style.
I never saw that before. It should be an aleph there.
Right. Now we have to look in the Mishnah and see how he writes it in the Mishnah. Ke'ilu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So he added the chirik of the aleph. He added.
So the question is, did he acknowledge there's missing an aleph, but he didn't want to add a letter?
Right. He had no place to. He couldn't add the letter. He had no room. He didn't write the original manuscript.
Very interesting. Good, I read Menachem. Very, very interesting. I wasn't even looking at the Nekudas. That's very, very interesting. Well, now that we're looking at Nekudas, I got to look at something else. How do you pronounce Beis Hillel?
Okay.
Hillel.
Oh, and
That's a sego.
Right.
Hillel.
He wrote it with a.
I don't know. I don't know if that was a fluke.
Look at Shammai also without an aleph.
Shammai.
Without an aleph. No, to the right.
No, I know. Okay, but it's consistent throughout here. Shammai. Now we have to look. Now we have to open the Yerushalmi because now we have to open the Yerushalmi here, and
He has an aleph there for Shammai.
There's an aleph.
this is Mishnah. This is the Mishnah.
Yeah, everyone's good.
Here, Shammai, Shammai, and so forth. But we need to open up the Yerushalmi. No, come on. And see how the Mishnah. I don't know why they sent it so far. Rebero, don't get
Just
excited. We're not
Shama.
we're not studying the Yerushalmi here. I just want to see how the Mishnah is presented. Sukkah shigavay l'man esrim, sular machshir v'shenigavay aser. Oh, I do need to go to the next Mishnah. Which word are we looking at? Beishamai?
Yeah, I saw Shammai without an Aleph.
We are here as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so it looks like that. There's a reason why I wanted to see the Yerushalmi because I believe there was a difference in the in spelling between the Mishnah and the Yerushalmi and the Bavli, and it represented, I think, possibly two different nuanced traditions of how the Mishnahs were transcribed or preserved. So here you have Sukkah Yeshana Beishamai Hoislim or Beisila Machshirim. The Ezu Yeshana Kol She'asa Kadmul Chag. Now we have to go look at one more thing just because we're here already, which is the Ki'ilu. No, Ki'ilu here we have a letter. I want the Yerushalmi in its own self-standing. I want the Yerushalmi in its own window. Is that enough to ask for? Okay, here we go. Yerushalmi. Interesting. They give you the choice here. I never noticed this. To have the Venice version or the Vilna version. I'm fairly certain we default to the Vilna version. But I wonder if there are.
If there wouldn't be differences,
Oh,
there
it's
wouldn't be the
mostly
Tuash.
not. I don't think it's the text. It's the breakup of the. It's how it was printed. Let's go to. Again, if for anyone that's annoying, I'm sorry. We just got we got to do this to start out with. Now we have to go to the handwritten manuscript of the Yerushalmi and see how they write these things, these Mishnahs. Then once we're there, we can also go to. So let's try this. Here, this is the Leiden manuscript. With something's funny here. Oh, now I remember now. Basically, the Leiden manuscript puts all of the Mishnayos up front, and then it gives you the um oh, is my internet down? Did I lose you guys? It's over here. Are we back?
We're back.
Okay, that. So now, okay, it totally bounced me. So now I have the same problem. I don't know how to navigate from these pages backwards because they don't really give me a navigation. You just see one thing, and then we might have to give up. You're never supposed to give up, but we might have to give up. Let's see. Hmm. And it happened again. Okay. Um, hmm.
screen sharing is not working at all. Or I know we were just getting the one line, and that was about to. Okay, here it is. Maybe this time it'll work. No.
All right, I don't know how to, I don't know how to,
Back.
I don't know how to navigate the manuscripts. They don't give me the
Could
ability
try
to,
to pick the numbers up by 5 and want to skip a few pages. It may or may
but
not
I'm not
work.
sure how this works because
Yeah, sometimes that works.
Yeah.
I guess not. I would leave the letter by the number.
there's letters
Rabbi,
involved. That's why.
Just instead of 75 by 76 and see if that to a lot page.
Well,
Rabbi, Mark and even you are too old. You have a teenage son for a reason.
I know I'm gonna have to ask him how to troubleshoot this.
Absolutely. That's why you have grandchildren that age. That's you know.
Yeah,
You
because
yeah. You don't know how to do that. So you must be old.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, changing the letter worked. Oh, interesting.
No, that's the thing. You can change the letter, but the number I don't think will work. Let's try.
The thing is, the kids can't explain, just go and do it.
When you change
Changing the
four,
letter
is
helped, but it helped too much.
yeah.
It took us like light years.
Usually the number changes. Not always. I know we did this once before and it worked.
I know,
I
but
think each
then it
number
was
gave you a page,
then it
but
was just
sometimes
numbers.
going up actually went down.
Rabbi, not important. It's strange that the older print is easier and darker than the editions, which are so much later, maybe.
Now it's not letting me edit this. I don't understand why. That's unlocked.
And
Keyboard.
numbers in the corner for pages or whatever, the top corners.
Okay, so these are each pounds, and this is 7.
You'd think they'd have a button to go next page, next page.
Okay.
Is there? All right, let's give up because just we're holding everyone's time here. Oh, and I just okay.
Rabbi, turn on Waze, it might help you.
I'm sorry.
If you turn on Waze, it might help you.
Find your way.
This is the Venice printed manuscript. So if you want to see the language, no Nikodis, Shammai is spelled the way you would hope. Ki'ilu is spelled the way you'd hope. And so this is probably
How the base gimel down is spaced out. I guess that's supposed to be the Sukkim.
Mishnayos. No, because your Shalmi gives you the whole Mishnah up front. And then it starts with a commentary.
Say it had the base gimel down going.
So those are the Mishnahs.
That's a different Mishnah.
But the printers in Venice apparently, even though they had I think they used the Leiden manuscript, but they used the Mishnayos from the Bavli.
Interesting. Because the Aleph for the Shammai picture spelling.
Sorry?
The same spelling of Shammai, but not
Our
the other
spelling.
one. Yeah, our spelling, yeah.
I think also
And
this
as you
is
think came from the Bavli.
here you have a printed one, so there's a Magia. It looks closely than someone who just handwrites.
I see just a collection of pictures. As opposed to the folder. So you would assume the numbers are in sequence, but not necessarily.
All right, sorry, folks. Yeah. All right, let's go to the
This way,
Gemara.
because you're looking at the picture, there's a frame, anything.
I'm sorry.
Controls. There's no frame or anything that controls. All you're looking at is the actual picture itself
It's just a
of the
picture. They just
manuscript.
give you the PDF. They don't give you the source.
It's actually JPEG. Yeah, yeah. That's why you can't. You have no navigation
I'm
other
Googling.
than
Maybe this way they give us the no. And apparently there's a lot of light in there's a lot of stuff in here. Then it's probably in like German or something. So yeah.
definitely doesn't look like a shop. Nice.
No, it's their whole thing. So you now have to find.
Yeah. It's a shame that they don't actually have it set up in a way for fire. We could just push through the next. When you have images of almost a photo album, you can go next.
Yeah, I don't know what they're giving us here, but you know what? We're wasting your time. We have to figure out how to find the full Leiden manuscript in a way that we can search.
Maybe try putting searchable in there when you say search. I don't know if such a things exist. That is.
Gone. 410 gone. All right.
I don't know. Well, that's so weird. Oh, he's 405.
All right, let's do this. The thing that's surprising to me is they spent so much effort linking all all the graphics, all the images to the manuscripts. Surely there's a they would want to give us the whole thing. Or maybe it's a flaw where they link it to the Talmud, but they don't give you the Mishnayos because of how the Mishnayos is structured. All righty, here we go. Here, Shayna.
Yeah, you know how much that cost? No, tell him, do you have, okay, label, take.
John,
Oh, you, okay.
I'm
Okay,
teaching him.
okay, so
No, so message with him now. All right. Let's see Rashi. Sukkah shigavoyla ma'ila from Amma Psula, Rabbi Huda Machshir. So the Gemara tells us, don't worry, Gemara, Mifarish, Psuktayu. We're going to learn a lot more about this debate in the Talmud, so sit tight. V'sheina gvayasar tvachim, what if it's so short that it's not even 10 tvachim? V'shein la shalaisha or shalish defanos. That's an interesting grammar question. V'shechamasa miruba mitzilasa, and if the shade is less, or the sun is more than the shade, look at Rashi. V'sheina gvayasara begemar mefarish taima. Shalish defanos nami yalit begemar ma'lahu. So what does it mean that the sun is more than the shade? Hamuat batal b'rayv. The minority is nullified to the majority. So if it's mostly sunlight, it's as if there is no shade, right? And the whole point of a sukkah is the schach. So absent the schach, you have nothing. Okay, not to put words in his mouth, and that's effectively what he said. Interesting. All right. Let's look at the Gemara for a moment. That's you?
Beautiful. Making me like, just give me a number.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna, we can't afford that.
No?
Each will be wrapped in a sprinkle, over $1 piece, guaranteed.
So on the subject of tall buildings, tall structures, and we're going to get a picture in just a moment. You have a mavai, which we'll call an alleyway or an enclosed roadway. If it's taller than Esrim Amma, Yemait. Let's look at Steinsaltz here for a moment. We learn in Erevin, if the alleyway is higher than 20 amis, so the crossbeam that they're going to put to create a tzuras HaPesach at the end of the alleyway that opens into the public domain to permit carrying Shena, to be carrying within the alleyway and Shabbos is higher than 20 tvachim. So in order for you to be able to enclose it, it has to be lower than 20 tvachim. So you have to bring down that beam. Otherwise, it's not considered like it does anything to the structure. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Einai Tzarch. Rabbi Yehuda says the height is perfectly fine. So what do we see here? A parallel debate about what height is considered too high. Here's our friendly pictures. So here you have the Mavai. We have to see Rashi still. But if this whole structure is too tall, if it's 20 amis, so you have to bring down this, excuse me, you have to bring down this kaira, this in the way they would create a doorway or framed way, you have to bring it down to count. So we see here a parallel machlokes about a mavai. Rashi mavai shogvaya, mavai shehusasum mishalesh sedadim. We're talking about a alleyway, or there's got to be there's a better word for it, or a courtyard that's enclosed on three sides. But there's one way that is open to the public thoroughfare. And you have additional chatzers, courtyards open to there. That are entering to their Rishus Harabim. This mavai can be considered a Rishus Hayachid, a private domain, for the people living in those chatzers. You're not allowed to go from one house or to one structure, to one space to another, without an Eruv. Technically, each courtyard was considered or is considered its own separate rishus, and you can't go from one to the other. The hamavei rishus lekulam, but this public, we need really an aerial view, which maybe we'll get in a minute. This alleyway is the outlet for all of these private courtyards into the public domain. And so you're going to need all of the different courtyards that open into the structure to need to have they need to have a common bucket of food items, which is called eruv. And then it has to remain in one of the courtyards. Because it's open on the fourth side, it's not enclosed. And in many ways, this opening and this space is susceptible to be classified as a Rishus Harabim. There needs to be a visible demonstration that people can see. And what are the options? Oy lechi zakuf. Either there needs to be an upright lechi, which creates somewhat of a door frame, or a beam, a cross beam, that goes from one to the other. And if that beam is too tall, it's 20 amis, so you got to bring it down. Because the whole point of this, of this cross beam is to create a visual evidence or a visual statement that this is not a public domain, this is a private enclosure. But the other opinion is Ein Tzarech, and we're going to discuss what the reason is in Meseches Eruvin, which we have not yet learned. Maybe we'll learn that one day.
Rabbi,
Yes, Doctor.
well, if you have a bridge between two buildings, like you often see over a roadway or something, and the bridge is 4 stories high, whatever, but there's nothing on the bridge. Can you put a sukkah there, even though It
A
doesn't
sukkah
touch the sukkah.
on top. So you're
Yeah,
asking,
in other words, there's no foundation to the ground from, you have, let's say, 20 feet of a bridge, a flat bridge with whatever on the side, so it shouldn't fall between buildings. You want to use that area to build a sukkah, not necessarily attached to either one of the sides. And you're going to build three sides, so even.
I'm not sure I understand.
You know,
Is the sukkah is the sukkah elevated?
the sukkah is elevated. The sukkah is elevated, and the floor of the sukkah is actually between two buildings.
So that's very interesting. That's a good question. That's part of
In Israel, you see some stuff like that.
the Lamaisa. We see that, let's say people build sukkahs on balconies that are very high, or on pool decks that are very high. Lamaisa, it appears that this is a practice that we do.
No, but
Right?
the base is really foundation, the pool deck, and
It's
you
the
have
same.
a real.
It's a similar question to the menorah. The menorah is only supposed to be a certain height. Um, but um, but can you? So what do you do? Do you put your sukkah in your menorah in the window, or do you put it in your doorway? So many people put it in the window. Chabad, actually, the minhag is to put it in a doorway. And the idea being that at such a height, you're not really accomplishing the visible element of the sukkah. Um, Anyways, my dear friends, thank you for being here for somewhat of a different session. Mark or Menachem's off. If you could figure out how to get us the light in manuscript, I would love that. Thank you all so much. Have an easy fast for those that are fasting, and thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. We will not be on tomorrow, Purim, and please, God, Shushan Purim. But by then, let's have good news to celebrate. Maybe Shushan will be liberated. All right. Have a wonderful day. Shkaya.